Well, let's welcome our esteemed guest, Patrick Ayertey. Welcome, Patrick.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
Absolutely.
We've been patiently waiting for you. Well, tell us about what you do today at Trilio.
Yeah, so currently at Trilio, I lead an engineering team. So I'm mostly into security. And so we build solutions that helps us to detect vulnerabilities. We work a lot with engineers. There's a lot of shifting left, so we try to embed ourselves in the early software development life cycles, stage of things, to scan things and make sure before we ship anything to production, it's clean. And so we don't produce vulnerable products.
I mean, I remember when I was at Microsoft, shipping just one feature. Remember we spent somewhere around 8 months running through all scenarios that, our system can be spoofed.
Right.
And this is what really means when you're, testing at scale, is you need to actually care about all these different things, all these different attack vectors. So thanks for that, double-clicking and getting into details of that.
No problem.
What are some of the common challenges teams face when trying to scale quality across large engineering organizations? You run a couple of organizations, one at Salesforce. Maybe you can talk more about what things look like at Salesforce as well.
The first thing is consistency, right? We all have different swim lanes. And most of the big organizations that you're aware of, they all grow through acquisition. So when you acquire, Salesforce acquires Slack, acquire Tableau, right? And so when you acquire, you go through the M&A process and bring a company, a business in, there's what we have the integration risk, right? And so we lack consistency. Like maybe Tableau used to do things a certain way before they integrated to the mothership. Slack used to do things a certain way, right? So one of the biggest challenges is consistency.
From your experience, what are the key lessons when building secure and reliable systems at scale?
Number one is automation. Automation is key because one of the things we're seeing, even with the whole introduction of AI, like the speed for go-to-market has shortened.
Yeah.
So you don't have a lot of time for people to be doing manual things. Also, human beings are also prone to errors. They have a lapse in judgment in here and there, right? So automation is key, number one. Number two, I would say defense in depth, because again, at the end of the day, people are trusting us with our systems to be able to protect the confidentiality and integrity and of the information they have in the system, right? So in whatever we do, defense in depth. So you're looking at all the way from the edge, from the perimeter, all the way to the restricted layer. So I look at it like when you connect to a system that a company has, the edge is protected. When you come to the logic layer, it's protected. When you come all the way to the restricted layer where the data is protected. So defense in depth is very key for me in that case. And I'll say resilience over perfection.
How do you see the integration of security and QA evolving into the next few years?
It's already part of it, but it's more like scaling it more. That's how I'll say. We've always been doing QA and security, but it's more right now. It's the more the use of the AI right now, and so that's what I'll say. The evolution of it is more how quickly can you do things, how quickly can you allow the engineers not to spend too much time going through the list of checklists, right? Going through checklist doesn't make you smarter, but when you want people to look at the data and the report that comes from the QA testing and be able to see the trends and patterns and make the right decisions around it. So a lot of that is already happening, but I see from what I can see internally within my company is there's more the use of the automation, the AIs for the testing, just to expedite things. Because as I said, it's a horse race right now, and the speed to go to market is getting shorter and shorter right now. And so whoever gets there first gets the prize.
Absolutely.
I just wanted to ask about if you can talk about any challenges of from security perspective on adopting Gen AI tools in large orgs. And what's your outlook on the space?
Yeah, that is something that is catching up to us very fast. And so I call it, like, what we're calling it is called shadow AI. I call it shadow AI security. There are tools that are enabling us to be faster in what we're doing, but again, comes with risk. So one of the things recently, even like last few days, we actually published the standard because we realized that, okay, we encourage people to move very fast in development, but we also want to provide them the guardrails and the guidelines to make sure they're doing within the safer means of doing things right. Now the question is, what kind of data is getting exposed to that? Are we getting information leakages, right? So one of the biggest things for us in this whole AI-driven world is data leakage and information leakage, right? Are we making sure while we're using it to develop things, we're not putting customer information there or any sensitive information there to cause us problem? And also, we're not over-reliant on the AI because there's a risk of hallucination, and when you have hallucination, it can mislead you to making certain decisions. For example, from a vulnerability standpoint, it could tell me my system is secure, right, based on the metrics, but it's giving me a false sense of security. So what we're doing now is putting more guardrails around that, more standard, more like guidelines and procedures to enable engineers to work within the confines of using this AI technology, but in a very secure way for us. We're facing a lot of challenges like deep fake right now, right? Like the North Korean actors. Like we've stopped, I'll say, a lot recently, and even we've actually revised how we do our interviews right now. Because the challenge with that is everybody's working remotely, so someone could have a deep fake doing an interview, and it's just a North Korean actor somewhere using someone's voice, right? So that's one of the things we're facing right now. We're also looking at AI-powered attacks, like and those are our scanning tools are also. Those are some of the things we put in our vendors that scans our infrastructure to find robust ways of catching those type of AI-driven attacks. So one of the tools we have actually started producing vulnerabilities and security issues from the AI side. So we're able to go in and see vulnerabilities, like more, we call it AI vulnerabilities, right? And so those are some of the things we're doing. So again, we're putting more pressure on our vendors because who built the solutions to do this stuff. So that's how we also, we're holding them accountable to it. But again, as a security professional, you almost sleep with one eye open because like anything can happen anytime, right? By the end of the day, we make sure we have the right controls in place, so we have good defense in-depth controls in place.
So my question is a little shorter, but I think it's quite interesting. Are you seeing a trend, if any, where it looks like the threat we face from AI is far exceeding or accelerating at a much faster rate than our current security abilities, if you would?
So I wouldn't say, so threats are threats, right? But what we're seeing from the AI is more having a controlled way of doing things, right? Because everything is AI powered right now. Like everyone does a new marketing, sexy things, it's AI here, right? And so the threat for us is more things getting out of control. Things done without guidance, the proper guidance, or this right security standards. So those are all the things that we're facing right now. In terms of vulnerabilities are always going to be vulnerabilities. Maybe the speed at which people exploit systems could be a little faster. But again, once we see those vulnerabilities and we get those CVEs and the right things to do to remediate, we can fix them, right? The main problem right now is just, it's like you're giving the car keys to your kids, to your big Lamborghini, and like, you know, they're gonna crash it or not, right? So it's just making sure that we have the right library. So it's more on the human side and making sure that we're not exposing and leaking secret or information out to unwanted users or unauthorized users, put it that way. So the first question on the policy and procedures, so as I talked about, we just actually published a standard recently. So we already have an AI policy, but policies tend to be more like high level, you know. The standards are more like the must-have and the must-do, right? And so we published the AI standard recently, where there's specific things that for you to pull in a particular AI, to use any particular AI frameworks, it has to be something that is approved within the company, right? You may have to like do a security, we call it a security design review. So more like a threat modeling. So for you to use AI to do any software development, you have to do the threat modeling, you have to do a security design review. The product you're building has to go through scanning, right? For vulnerabilities, right? So those are all the things that the standard is stating. In addition to that, we've also created guidance or guidelines for specific type of scenarios that people may find themselves doing, right? So the first thing was to establish the authority, which is through the standard, and that is in place. Secondly is more, do we have the right controls to detect deviation from those standards? And now we scanned recently and we saw the list of AI usage. Like number one, ChatGPT is like the highest everyone is using right now, right? And you have other tools there, right? From that, there were some tools that were even outright blocked, like deep learning, right? There's certain tools that was AI usage that we had to block right away. So again, the first thing was to establish the standard, which is authority. Number two is to work with engineers. And luckily for my organization, we've been able to build a good relationship with engineering organization. And they actually hold us to very high standards. Like, when you talk to them, they challenge you, right? And so more from a selling standpoint to the business or the engineering to adopt the security standards we're talking about, we don't have a lot of this pushback because one of the things I've done and a lot of the leaders is we go to them and try to meet them where they are and let them know we're there to enable them and not to block them. Because a lot of times people come, the security professionals go in there and they have all the strict rules, the dial shut down and things not to do right. But when we go in there, we work with them. And I think for me, it's because of my engineering background too. Like I can empathize with engineers, right? And I'll think about like, okay, when you come to me, like, what should I care about the most? You come to me with this number of vulnerabilities, like, which one is the top priority for me? Because I gotta make money, I gotta build product, right? So we've been able to build our relationship with the teams, which makes the adoption of the standard much more easier.
All right. Thank you very much for your time, Patrick. I appreciate it. We learned so much. Well, our roundtable was supposed to be right after this, but we basically had it right before Patrick. But we've already established that security is a big deal when it comes to scaling QA.
AI been AI? Has it always been AI? Like how many years has it been now that you're dealing with that?
AI has always been there, like, even I'll say from the 90s, even AI has always, artificial intelligence has always been there. I think what is really catching up is the generative AI, but predictive AI has always been there, like, in the past, like, being able to predict and do like predictive analytics and stuff, right? But it's more the generative AI that is more caught up so quickly because of how it's able to engage in interactions and being able to build stuff for you. So that's what we're seeing. So it's more the use of the generative AI that has become more rampant, and that is what is getting out of control. But always, predictive AI has always been there in the past. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. We will now move on to the next part of the event. Patrick, thank you so much. I appreciate it. A round of applause for Patrick.